Tonight, breaking news from Eastern Europe. At the break of dawn, the fields near Podolsk erupted in a storm of fire and fury, shattering the uneasy silence that had settled overnight. Headlines flashed across the globe: Ukraine launches major offensive, massive explosions, rock Russian lines. The world's attention snapped to the front lines. The air, once eerily still, now crackled with the raw energy of a battle that could alter the entire course of the war, sending shockwaves far beyond the region. Intelligence had hinted at a buildup, but the sheer scale and ferocity of the assault stunned even seasoned analysts and military strategists. This was no mere skirmish. This was a meticulously coordinated large-scale operation, a bold attempt to break through Russian defenses that had held firm for months. Chaotic first reports revealed the immense power unleashed. Artillery thundered relentlessly, while jets and drones clashed in the skies, each side vying for control. Civilians and soldiers alike faced a terrifying new day, forced to take cover as the world watched, fully aware that the consequences of this battle could be global and long-lasting. Ukrainian armored columns pressed forward, advancing steadily under a sky crowded with dueling aircraft and the constant threat of enemy fire. Unconfirmed videos flooded social media, showing Russian positions pounded by relentless artillery barrages, smoke plumes rising in the distance. Every major news agency scrambled to make sense of the chaos. Was this the long-awaited decisive blow, or a high-stakes gamble that could backfire? Tonight, we take you step by step through this daring operation, exploring the technology, tactics, and critical turning points that could define the conflict. From Russia's desperate attempts to halt the offensive, to the destruction of a massive supply convoy, this is the unfolding story of a battle that could shape the future of the region. We'll reveal how Ukraine managed to turn a Russian attack into a stunning opportunity, a dramatic story still unfolding tonight, with new developments emerging by the hour. Just before Ukraine's long-awaited offensive, as the first light crept over the horizon, tension hung thick in the air. Ukrainian soldiers braced themselves, knowing the coming hours could change everything. Suddenly, Russia unleashed a massive preemptive strike, aiming to crush Ukrainian forces before they could even begin to move. The attack was swift, calculated, and relentless. The sky erupted with streaks of missile trails. Russian jets roared overhead, dropping bombs on command posts and troop concentrations. Explosions lit up the night, turning darkness into a battlefield of fire. The overwhelming force was meant to sow chaos and fear, to break the spirit of the defenders before the real fight began. Explosions ripped through the pre-dawn darkness. Russia's message was unmistakable. They were ready to escalate, and they wanted the world to see their power. This was a calculated, high-tech assault targeting vital infrastructure, bridges, communication centers, and staging areas, meant to cripple Ukraine's ability to respond. Russian electronic warfare systems jammed Ukrainian radar and communications, trying to blind and deafen their enemy, cutting off units from their commanders. For a moment, the Russian strategy seemed to work. Shock and confusion reigned in Ukrainian command centers as smoke and debris filled the air. But Ukrainian air defenses sprang into action, intercepting some missiles in mid-air, though others still struck deep, causing heavy damage. Russian commanders believed they'd blunted the Ukrainian spear, hoping to force a retreat or at least delay the offensive. But Ukraine was prepared, forces were dispersed, command centers hardened, and contingency plans ready to be executed at a moment's notice. The Russian attack struck a web of decentralized units, not a single vulnerable target, making it far less effective than intended. The fire from the sky was terrifying, but it didn't break Ukrainian will. Instead, it steeled their resolve to fight back even harder. For Ukraine, the bombardment was not the end, but the signal that the real battle was about to begin. Ukrainian forces readied their own counterpunch, preparing to strike back with tactics and weapons Russia didn't anticipate. The battle's momentum was about to shift, and the world would soon witness a new phase in this brutal conflict. As Russian missiles rained down, lighting up the night sky and shattering the silence, chaos erupted across the front lines. But Ukraine's response was already in motion, with commanders and soldiers springing into action, determined to defend their homeland. The long-awaited F-16 fighter jets, symbols of Western support, soared into the sky. Their arrival immediately challenged Russian air superiority, shifting the balance in the air. Their mission was clear: hunt down Russian jets, disrupt enemy formations, and target the sophisticated systems guiding Russia's relentless air assault. Simultaneously, A massive wave of Ukrainian attack drones swarmed Russian air defenses, overwhelming radar sites and missile batteries with sheer numbers. Many drones broke through, striking radar and missile launchers, creating vital corridors for the F-16s to operate with greater freedom and safety. The sky over Podolsk became a deadly chessboard. Ukraine made bold, aggressive moves, forcing Russian pilots onto the defensive. On the ground, Ukrainian tanks and armored vehicles surged forward, shielded by the ongoing air battle above and the confusion sown among Russian ranks. Electronic warfare teams jammed Russian communications, adding to the confusion and making it nearly impossible for Russian units to coordinate. The goal was simple but urgent: punch through Russian defenses before they could regroup or call in reinforcements. Ukraine integrated air power, ground forces, and electronic warfare into a single cohesive machine, executing a complex synchronized assault. The Russian preemptive strike, meant to cripple Ukraine, instead triggered a devastating counteroffensive that caught Russian forces off guard. Within the first hour, Ukraine seized the initiative, turning danger into opportunity and forcing Russian troops into disarray. The fight for Podolsk was now on Ukraine's terms, with Ukrainian forces determined to hold their ground and push forward. As tanks and jets clashed, a second invisible war raged in the electromagnetic spectrum: electronic warfare. Both sides deployed powerful jammers, creating chaos radios filled with static. GPS failed, drone feeds flickered out. Russia's advanced EW systems created jamming bubbles, downing Ukrainian drones and misdirecting missiles. Ukraine countered with its own EW platforms, disrupting Russian command networks. The result: a tactical deadlock, with orders jammed and units forced to use runners and flares. 21st century tech met 20th century tactics as both armies struggled to adapt. Short bursts of encrypted communication and deception tactics became the norm. Winning the electronic battle meant seeing and talking while the enemy was blind and deaf. Near Podolsk, this digital fight was a stalemate. Victory would go to the fastest to adapt. Ukraine's initial air success met fierce Russian resistance on the ground. Podolsk was a fortress: concrete bunkers, minefields, anti-tank ditches. Ukrainian armor faced a wall of fire from hidden Russian T-90M tanks. Russia deployed robotic ground vehicles, engaging Ukrainian troops without risking soldiers. Ukrainian stormtroopers advanced on foot, clearing minefields under fire, using drones to spot threats. The electronic warfare stalemate made coordination nearly impossible. Units relied on visual signals and pre-planned objectives. The offensive slowed to a crawl. Every meter gained was hard-fought. Attack helicopters played a crucial role, striking bunkers and landing troops behind enemy lines. Transport helicopters braved the skies to resupply and evacuate wounded. In key moments, stormtroopers attacked from the rear, capturing prisoners and chipping away at defenses. The battle became a grinding war of attrition. As the front stalled, Ukrainian intelligence tracked a massive Russian logistics convoy, thousands of tons of supplies. Destroying it would be more effective than hitting tanks at the front. The plan: a coordinated drone ambush deep behind enemy lines. Long-range attack drones launched under cover of darkness, flying low to avoid detection. Ukrainian EW drones jammed the convoy's communications, leaving it blind and deaf. Lead drones struck armored escorts, halting the convoy in a massive traffic jam. The main wave of drones then targeted fuel and ammunition trucks, triggering a chain reaction of explosions. The night sky lit up with fireballs. The road became a river of fire. The sound of destruction echoed for miles, a catastrophic blow to Russian forces. Their lifeline was severed in minutes. The drones vanished into the night, leaving total destruction. The pivotal moment of the battle happened far from the front. Russian forces at Podolsk faced disaster. The convoy's destruction was just the beginning. Intelligence revealed its destination: a massive ammo depot near Podolsk, holding over 50 tons of munitions. Eliminating it would cripple Russian firepower for days. Ukraine launched a volley of long-range ballistic missiles, guided by precise coordinates. Russian air defenses, already strained, failed to stop the attack. At least one missile hit the depot. An explosion of unbelievable magnitude followed. A mushroom cloud rose, shockwaves flattened everything nearby, and the battlefield fell silent. Russian artillery and tanks were suddenly starved of ammunition. The logistical chain was vaporized, panic spread through Russian ranks. The fortress was crumbling from within. Ukraine's operation wasn't finished. To maximize chaos, they launched a targeted strike at the heart of Russian command, the Frunze Military Academy in Moscow. Stealthy long-range drones bypassed air defenses, striking key buildings housing communication hubs and planning offices. Explosions rocked the academy, sending shockwaves through the Russian military. The attacks severed communication links and forced senior commanders to evacuate. The chain of command broke down. Field commanders were left isolated. Combined with the logistical catastrophe at Podolk, Russian military structure unraveled. On the front, units ran out of supplies. In the rear, control collapsed. News of the Moscow strike crushed morale. Troops felt abandoned. The Russian army began to fall apart. In the days after the ammo depot and Moscow strikes, Russian defenses at Podolk collapsed. Without supplies or orders, many Russian units fell back in disarray. Ukrainian forces advanced, capturing equipment and prisoners. The victory at Podolk was more than territorial. It shattered the myth of Russian military might. Ukraine's integration of advanced technology and bold tactics changed the strategic landscape. Russia's reliance on centralized command and long supply lines was brutally exposed. The battle for Podolk will be studied for years, a textbook example of modern warfare. It began with fire and ended with a flag, signaling a decisive shift in the war's balance.